Jay, I saw a clip circulating on Instagram, and they were having a conversation about kids in school or kids going to school. And the gentleman said that one of the things that him and his wife failed, where they failed as parents, was by sending their daughter to school. So I want to ask you, do you believe that kids going to school is a waste of time?
Hell no. I saw the thing you talking about Myron Golden. I don't think kids going to school is a waste of time. I think that school definitely is just like the damn electoral college. It need to be a overhauling of the system, like the police system, everything, all the old guard of shit that was created in this country needs a huge overhauling, right? So I heard the clip that you said, and one of the things that makes me, I get kind of angry about it because we always have these unilateral entrepreneurs that have made this level of success, and most of them look like us, and then they start shitting on the whole situation, right? And it's like, oh, everybody got to not go to school so they can be entrepreneurs. Like, I don't want everybody to be entrepreneurs. So I disagree. I don't think everybody's equipped to be entrepreneurs. I don't think everybody needs to be entrepreneurs. And then I'm from the old school of entrepreneurship that somebody got to work for me. Now, we have to paint the picture. Are you saying that you have a business because you do, but somebody's dad is not an entrepreneur? They're taking care of their family very well. Might not be a millionaire like you, but they're taking care of their family very well by working the job, right? And so they have savings. You know, they have savings, they have what's in there. And I have family members, right? I have a family member who is very successful, super successful. Never had a business in his life, right? And been in his company 20 years, knocking out the park, going to retire not being an entrepreneur, probably can retire a millionaire because he's made that much money, very good with his money. They don't miss a beat and all that other stuff. And so if his kids don't want to be entrepreneurs, because him and his wife is highly educated, and they want to go and be just like their mom and dad, that's not wrong, right? Their kids are in private school, not public school, which I think that private school for the most part is better than public school, for the most part, because there are situations where communities create their own schools and it's considered public because nobody pays for it, but they have a private school scenario because everybody just can't come. You have to be in this community. And even you think about the Jewish community who's been doing this forever, where their kids are going to school in the synagogues. And so they're not losing anything from going to school. They're just making sure that the kids are being taught what they're supposed to be taught. And they're cutting out the fat and moving it in. But the suggestion was that because you got money, bring somebody in to teach your kid. Well, one of the biggest things about school, not the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, is creating relationships. And a social scenario for kids. That is amazing. This is why Harvard and Yale and all these schools are where they are. Because when you get your kid into Yale, the community that they're going to create is going to set them up so they can be successful in life in this country. I can't speak. I never lived in another country. But in this country, you're trying to sit here and tell me that you feel like your kid, most kids, not just yours, not just Myron Golden's kids, but your kids, the majority of kids are going to be successful in this country without relationships? And the purest relationships have been created from school, especially all the way up to college. Now, let's get into the facts that as I see it. I believe kids can get a college education by the time they're done with high school. It's a lot of fat that can be trimmed to where these kids can actually graduate at 18 years old with a bachelor's degree. Especially the bachelors of arts, especially in some of these schools with business. And again, let's be frank. The difference between a Harvard business school and maybe another business school, a lower end, or what they would call lower end, is who they're dealing with and the case studies. You know what I'm saying? So when you had a lower end school with a professor who's never been in business, don't understand business from his own situation, he's all teaching from a theoretic perspective, and then you have Harvard, where somebody who actually owns a business who was teaching, and you also have case studies coming from, not from a textbook, but coming from Facebook, Apple, Tesla, all those people, and then the CEOs are there as keynote speakers regularly. Like, they're going to get a different situation. And again, going back to the relationships, half of the kids, their dads are business owners or C-suite executives, high-level executives, and they're having these conversations and these meetings, and they're going to camps with them and all this other stuff like that. It wouldn't happen if they weren't in the school together. So we got to have these discussions about, instead of just throwing out this random shit, because when we get to a certain level, we good for just throwing out, again, I said on this same platform, Nick Cannon went on Earn Your Legion. Oh, networking is just waste of time. Like, are we really saying dumb shit like this? Like, it's a reason for school. Do it needs to be overhauled? Hell yeah. Do we need to trim the fat? Hell yeah. Is public school shitty? Hell yeah. But that don't mean abolish school. Because people in this country, with inflation, prices still rise, people still have to work. And this, again, you keep talking like as if you can be a successful entrepreneur and not put in that time. And while that kid is at school for them 6-7 hours, you're putting in that time just like as if you be putting in at the job. And if you're a real entrepreneur, you're putting in more time. And the world is not like because you made it this way. Some people got to have 2 parents working in order to be successful. And that's reality. That's not a fail. But we like to just say clickbait bullshit. And so many followers and people run behind that shit. And again, I'm not against Myron Golden. I think he's a very intelligent man. I've read, I've followed some of the teachings, all that other stuff like that. I just don't agree with this wholeheartedly. Not because he's saying anything that's super wrong, but he's saying stuff that's going to make a whole bunch of people, because a lot of people follow him, a lot of people follow David Shan, that's going to immediately start saying, oh, I'm about to start doing this. You're not in their position. You might have to send that kid to school, but you might have to work hard on the back end and make sure that you deprogram some bullshit or put some good shit into that kid to work. And it may be that the kid is in the 2nd grade, but by the time they're in high school, you did get your money up, and then you make the adjustments and you put them in a better school, or you can do what needs to be done. But right now, you don't need to listen to this shit because it doesn't apply to you. And when they say it, it's like it applies to everybody else. And it really doesn't. And so we have to be careful, ever so careful, about the things that we say. I know that we're not going to be, because that's what gets you clicks and make you money and do all the other things. But that's why I come on and say it, because I might not get as many clicks. But at least if whoever hears it will have a different perspective from somebody who's not bitter, somebody who's not fucked up, somebody who ain't broke. You know what I'm saying? My kids are in private school, so I'm not really worried about that. I'm saying it because I remember when it wasn't like that, and my kids wasn't in the space, and I didn't have it like that. They had to do what they had to do. I had to do what I had to do while I had to go ahead and make room for them as an entrepreneur. And it wasn't easy. Shit ain't just happen overnight. I had to put in more work than a person working a 9 to 5. And I'm glad I had a daycare than a teacher. And the schools got better and better as my financial situation and my knowledge base got better. And I think that that's where everybody should be at.